Wilbon, we were off yesterday. Could have taken today off to make it a 4-day weekend, but we didn't.
I'm Frank Isola. Well, one of you did.
That's right. One of us has, who knows, 4 or 5 days at the beach, in his beach compound.
Little golf. By the way, you look great in person. I've seen you on TV the last 2 years, but in person,
2 years.
You look tremendous.
2 years. I just did your podcast the other night in person. What are you talking about?
That was in Boston, though. It's different. You look different in Boston than you do in Washington.
Welcome to PTI. In today's episode, Kyrie has a trade list. The Lightning face a make-or-break Game 5, and more good news for Yankees fans. We're going to start with last night's NBA draft. Paolo Banchero was the surprise first pick by the Orlando Magic, followed by Chet Holmgren to Oklahoma City, and the player many had predicted would go first, but didn't, Jabari Smith to the Rockets. Frank, what was your biggest takeaway from last night?
Other than it was a fashion show, that's what it seemed like at points. I like what Orlando did. They went with the best Italian available, and they took Paolo Banchero. That was an interesting pick. I love the way that he played last year at Duke. Big guy, and late in games, he's a playmaker. I like that pick. Jaden Ivey, I thought, was a good pick also for Detroit. You could see what they're starting to do.
They got things covered.
But I have to keep, because I know it's going to drive you nuts.
What?
I'm going to keep it somewhat New York-centric, because the Knicks were in the lottery.
They didn't do anything.
They need a lot.
Yeah.
And they were getting picks, trading picks, acquiring picks. But guess what, though? What they're doing is clearing cap space.
To get who?
To get a point guard, whose dad now works for the team, whose agent is the president of the Knicks' son. It's all these different relationships. And I'm talking about Jalen Brunson. That's why on July 1st, don't be shocked. It's clear that the Knicks are trying to get Jalen Brunson. Is it getting Kevin Durant? No. Is it getting Kawhi Leonard? No. But when you don't have much and you need a point guard, a lot of people are killing what the Knicks did. Why is it okay when Oklahoma City acquires first-round picks? The Knicks did. I like what they did.
In favor of young point guard Jalen Brunson, because he's a Chicago kid.
That's right.
But I don't know that you clear your cap space and build the rebuilding effort around Jalen Brunson. It seems he's a terrific piece, but complimentary. But I'm going to get to what my takeaway is. My takeaway is that you don't have to be in the top 3 to draft a player who can change your franchise. And this has been going on for a little while now, because guys they're one and done. You don't necessarily know who can play or who can't play when everybody's one and done. Yep. And you start looking back in the recent history of these picks, right, on draft night. Kawhi Leonard, going back a ways, was 15. Giannis, 2-time MVP, 15. Jokic, 2-time MVP, 41, second-round pick.
Yep.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a guy you want to build with in mind, 11. Oh, but Draymond, I forgot, second round, 35. Jimmy Butler, who had 2 maybe of the greatest games in the playoffs this year, 30.
Yeah.
So when you watch the draft now, it's not just like saying, we got to have 1, 2, or 3, we got to win the lottery, or else we can't build a team. A guy like Josh Giddey, who no one was really talking about openly last year, he was 6. He wasn't 1, 2, or 3, and now he looks like a very important piece with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City.
And Chet Holmgren.
And so, Frank, how do we know?
Yeah.
We got to wait this feels like the NFL draft. You got to wait 2 or 3 years and not just go off what you're seeing in the top 3.
Right. All right, I'm going to throw you a Chicago bone then, since you mentioned it.
Okay.
How about the pick? And this was a guy that was highly touted coming out of high school. Freshman year at Milwaukee, struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
Patrick Baldwin Jr.
His father's a Northwestern alum.
Exactly. And that's where we all thought he was going to go.
He was going to Northwestern.
But he went, so it's not always where you get selected on the 5th pick, on the 6th pick. A lot of times it's where you go.
Where you go.
And if you're a player like that and you're going to the Golden State Warriors
and be mentored by them every day.
That's right.
That was my contention on Kawhi Leonard.
That's right.
That Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard in large part because he was playing for Pop with Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Parker and all of that system. Yep. It does matter.
There are certain organizations. You get drafted by Miami, you get drafted by Golden State, you get drafted by San Antonio. Those are the places you want to go. Absolutely. All right, let's move to the never dull Brooklyn Nets. Agent Wojnarowski reports that. Get ready for it, Michael. Kyrie Irving has given the Nets a list of teams he'd like them to consider trading him to if they can't agree on an extension in Brooklyn. The list includes Lakers, Clippers, Knicks, Heat, Mavs, Sixers. I thought James Harden was on the Sixers. Mike, what does this say to you?
He's not paying attention.
No.
He's never paying attention.
You're saying he's delusional? Slightly?
I'm saying he's delusional. he's somewhere between not paying attention and completely delusional. He doesn't care because he could be the most selfish, great talent I've ever seen in the NBA.
Yep.
I mean, he is just an egomaniac from the word go, all right? And the only team on there, I got to say, the Lakers. I mean, I know LeBron threw him out. Said, get rid of him. Yeah. And that was smart on LeBron doesn't have time to suffer fools.
So you got him not taking the $36 million from the Nets and signing for $6.5 with the Lakers.
He'll ask the Nets to help him. He'll ask to be in his sign-in trade. He'll ask anything because he's delusional.
Yeah.
The question is whether LeBron wants him back. Is LeBron so desperate to get back into big action? LeBron tweeting that he hates missing the playoffs and he wants to get back in. Is LeBron so desperate that he will take back the only guy he's won a championship with, Kyrie Irving?
Yeah.
Toxic as he is, will he do it? I don't know. I mean, LeBron's got to do a lot of soul searching, and then Kyrie's got to decide whether he's going to play for less money. He took like $17 million less last year just because he didn't want to play. So he goes out, he's not going to get vaccinated. But it is unbelievable that this dude is out there again talking about who he'd like to play for. And there are fools who will pick whatever team he's on and say they're in contention, they're a favorite.
And LeBron won with Anthony Davis. That's why, to your point, if they add Kyrie, it's not the worst move. I find what's fascinating here, really Kyrie's leverage is Kevin Durant. And it's been put out there, well, if Kyrie were to leave, maybe Kevin Durant would tell the Brooklyn Nets, I don't want to be there. Kevin Durant on his podcast today didn't address that directly. I know he calls himself new media, but he kind of sidestepped it. But he made it sound like this is Kyrie's thing, and I'll just see how it all plays out. You know, if I'm Kevin Durant, in the past week, let's think about this now. Steph Curry won another championship and was a Finals MVP. The guy that you left Steph Curry for is involved in what again?
What about
drama?
What about your
And his future is up in the air. Kevin Durant must be thinking, what did I get myself into here? And for Kyrie Irving, you know, if you opt into your contract, it's $36 million, and if the Nets give you another year and it's going to come out to say 2 years, $80 million, that's more than fair for a guy that has played in 103 games the last 3 years and has missed 128.
He's not looking at fair.
I understand that.
He doesn't care about fair.
Because, Michael, we're still, every time the Kyrie Irving supporters all say, he hit the biggest shot in Cavs history. That's 6 years ago. We're going on 7 years pretty soon.
He did anything without LeBron.
He's got a great handle.
Without LeBron.
What has he done for the Brooklyn Nets?
Nothing.
And if they're offering you about 2 years, $80 million, that is more than fair for a guy you haven't won games, you don't play in games, and there's a lot of drama.
Frank, he's not paying attention.
I know.
Right? Everything you said is on the money. You think he gives a damn?
No,
and by the way, if you're a team and you're going to count on him, if you're not LeBron and you've done it, you've got some history, why would any of these teams count on Kyrie Irving, who is also, in addition to being the most selfish, largest egomaniac out there, he's not dependable. Yep. He's not accountable. He's not responsible. And a team's going to take that and justify it?
It's always something. By the way, all 6 of those teams on his list, none of them have cap space. Well, the Knicks have about 18, but it's still hard. It's still hard to do that.
It's going to be New York.
I know.
It's going to be either Brooklyn or the Knicks.
Yeah. And you know what happens, too? The other 24 teams that weren't on the list, you know what they did?
Whew, thank God is what they're saying.
Exactly.
And now to the Stanley Cup, which the Avalanche can win tonight at home by beating the Lightning. Colorado won Game 4 in overtime. Spectacular game. And Lightning coach John Cooper was clearly upset. The Avalanche appeared to have an extra skater on the ice during the game-winning effort. Frank, the Lightning have won the last 2 cups, of course, but they're down 3-1 now. What kind of chance do you give them to win tonight and push things back to Tampa for Game 6?
Of course I give them a chance because really the series is a lot closer than 3-1 because 2 of the games were decided in overtime. I know we're focused on 7-0 in Game 2. That's the one that we're focused on the most. But getting back to appeared to have 6 men on the ice, there were 6 skaters on the ice.
There were.
That should have been a too many men on the ice penalty. But here's the thing, and you know this. You watch hockey games, it seems like
happens all the time, every shift.
All the time.
Every shift.
So now, this one, you can't review it number 1.
Right.
Okay, that's the first part of it. But also in overtime, you're having line changes more often than you do in the first 3 periods because you're trying to get your best people on there, but you're keeping people fresh. And guess what? Here's the other part, and I like John Cooper. He's a great coach. It sounds a little bit like whining because in that overtime, they got completely outplayed. I'm sitting there with my daughter. I'm saying, it's coming for Colorado.
They look tired.
You could see it coming. They were the better team. They almost looked like they were on a power play for a couple of minutes there in overtime.
They looked tired. And by the way, when Colorado is on a power play, oh, my God. And so they have got to keep people out of the box tonight. Tampa does. But, look, I've looked at that play again and again and again. Frank, his hip is on the board when he is on the way in the game, the extra skater. He's not 3 strides on. McKinnon was way off. McKinnon was in the center of the ice. I'm just saying, if you're going to, you can't call that every play. You just said, and you're right.
I know.
You could call this every shift. You could. And if they're not going to make it replayable, and you can't replay it, because you'd be replaying every shift when somebody's hip is not attached to the bench.
It's like 3 seconds in basketball. It's like holding in football. It's almost like slashing and boarding in hockey. It seems like there's a lot of times where it's close and you don't call it. I also think in overtime, there's so many line changes happening, and the referees, again, Colorado deserve. I know Tampa's not going to like this. Colorado deserved to win that. They were the better team. And guess what? They also came back from down 2-1.
Tonight, who you got?
I'm going to go with Tampa. I think they're going to force the series back to 6. Back to Tampa for Game 6.
Nice fun.
What about you?
Good.
It's a championship team.
Tampa. But I'm hesitant. I've been picking them the whole time. Let's take a break. But coming up, what's the word for Arch Manning's decision to attend Texas?
And after Shohei's incredible last 2 games, what's fair to expect of him when he returns to the field tonight?
You're not going to like what I'm saying. You're not going to like my words.
You seem upset with Kyrie.
Toxic.
Pardon the...
Time to fill in some blanks with my man, Fill In Frank. What's first?
Prized high school quarterback Arch Manning is blank for choosing Texas.
Well, he chooses Texas, Frank, and he's not choosing Mississippi.
Nope.
He's not choosing Tennessee. Apparently, Georgia and Alabama were in there too. So he said later temporarily to the SEC, going to Texas, which will be there at some point. My word is not scared. And it has something to do with another big program. This kid, Quinn Ewers, who transferred to Texas from Ohio State, I mean, he's a top recruit. But Arch Manning's like, bring on the competition. I ain't scared. He's not scared of having to go there and compete. It's not being handed him, not as a freshman, as a true freshman, as they say, the job. So not scared, which is nice for Arch Manning.
Yeah, mine is self-assured. I agree with you because here's a guy whose grandfather and dad and uncle all went to Ole Miss. His other uncle, Peyton, goes to Tennessee. Where does he want to go? He wants to go to Texas. And not just because it's a great school, the food there is good, the nightlife is fun. Steve Sarkisian is the head coach there. And here's a guy that has coached Tua. He's coached Mac Jones, Matt Leinart. So when you relate it to that many great quarterbacks, do you think that they probably all sit around and say, it would be a good place for you if you really want to develop and become an NFL quarterback? This would be a good place. I give him credit for not, because there's a lot of pressure on him to go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And he ends up going to Austin,
Texas. And when they better win, though. I mean, Sarkisian didn't do that well last year. What were they, 5-7
all right,
in Texas?
let me, I was thinking about this, too. When we think about Eli, we think about 2 Super Bowls that he's won.
Yep.
I remember winning 1 college game. Did he play for a national championship at Ole Miss?
We didn't see him playing college back then.
That's the point.
Ole Miss was not on the telly, not on mine. I got a satellite dish. I can see everything.
This is a player development stop for Arch until he gets to the NFL.
Yeah, but it's still going to be 3 years.
Yep.
What's next?
After his unprecedented last 2 games, it's fair to expect blank out of Shohei Ohtani tonight.
Well, these 2 games, coming off these 2 games, Frank, it's absurd. 2 home runs and 8 runs batted in.
I know.
Something Babe Ruth never even had in the game was 8 runs batted in. He follows that up by striking out 13. It's not Johnny Vandermeer back-to-back no-nos, but it's insanely impressive. Yet, unless he goes 8 innings and he's not pitching tonight, it's heartbreak. That's the word. It's heartbreak, not for him personally, but for his Angels.
Yeah.
And if he's the teammate that we're told he is, he wants to win. He wants to at least participate in the playoffs. He was reminding me like of a on steroids version of my idol, Ernie Banks. He can't get to the postseason.
I know.
So I'm going to say heartbreak,
Yeah.
Frank. That's what he's due for.
Yeah, I'm going to say the unexpected, because what he did, come on. You get 8 RBIs in 1 game. You mentioned Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron never did it. Barry Bonds never did it. Albert Pujols never did it. Then the next game, 13 strikeouts. Lefty Grove never did it. Jack Morris never did it. Tom Glavine never did that. These are great pitchers. So I was thinking, all right, he should now hit for the cycle. But then I looked.
He's already hit for the cycle.
He's done that. So how about 3 home runs? Am I asking for too much? For Shohei
Maybe
Ohtani?
not for him.
To get,
Wait. How about asking to win the game?
Yeah.
Which he can't impact that like, say, Kyrie Irving. He can't impact any game that he's not pitching in such a way. Because if he did, the 8 RBI game becomes a different deal.
The starter tonight for the Mariners, Chris Flexen.
Yeah.
He's faced him before, 0 for 3 with 1 strikeout.
Well, he's got
I think
a
for
chance to get
Shohei,
back.
he's thinking, let me
Got a
just get
chance
one
to
hit
get
off the
back
guy.
out.
But, I mean, come on, Michael. 8 RBIs one day.
He's
13.
amazing.
He is
He's
the
amazing.
he is worth the price of admission because A, he's doing everything, and we've never seen anything like this
And we
before,
might
not in our
not see him in
lifetime.
October.
I know.
He's like Manning, like
Yeah.
Eli. Can't find him on the dial. That was the final word. Let's take one last break. We're still to come. Yankees fans had something to celebrate last night and something else to celebrate this afternoon.
And Mike's old neighbor, Kyle Schwarber, is having another
Schwarbs,
huge
baby.
Remember he used to complain that his leaf blower made too much noise?
We're in an apartment building on the 43rd floor. There's no leaf blowing.
He was
If he's
having
got
too
a
many
leaf
late
blower
parties.
up there, come on. We're down in Gold. Yeah. His birthday is actually Sunday, but he's in the news now. Yesterday, he removed the Utah Jazz from his Instagram bio. Though pictures of him with the team remain in his feed. He's under contract with the Jazz for 3 more seasons, 4 if he picks up his player option. But the Jazz are retooling. Quinn Snyder out as head coach, and the Atlanta Hawks and, wait for it, Frank, the Chicago Bulls are among the teams that are said to be interested in trading for Gobert. Let's just go ahead and put him in Chicago, anchor that lineup defensively. Sounds good to me.
I tell you what, I like the way you're thinking. I think he's very good. Listen, his low post game is somewhat pedestrian, but they don't look at what Robert Williams did in the playoffs.
Yes.
Rudy Gobert is better than Robert
Defensively,
Williams.
that's
He can't
right.
get a couple of lobs at the
Yeah.
rim and maybe a couple of putbacks, but defensively, I'll give you another team too. How about the Miami Heat? I don't know how they would get him, and is Danny Ainge going to make a
Rim
deal
running,
with Pat
rim
Riley?
protecting.
I think the guy's good.
Happy anniversary to the Golden State Warriors. Around this date, 13 years ago, you used the 7th pick in the NBA draft to select Stephen Curry. That's right. 5 teams passed on Curry, including the T-Wolves twice, in order to draft Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn.
Crazy.
2 years ago, the T-Wolves traded Andrew Wiggins and a pick that turned out to be Jonathan Kuminga to the Warriors. All of this is why Michael Thompson, Clay's dad, says the Warriors should send the T-Wolves a ring. Amen to that.
You know, when Donnie Walsh was running the Knicks, he called David Kahn, who used to work with him in Indiana, tried to move up because the Knicks were all over Steph Curry, couldn't get him. Let me ask you this, though. Did you ever think that Steph Curry would be this good?
Not this
I mean,
good.
unanimous MVP, now a Finals MVP.
You know what? We loved him, though. We had Steph Curry as a guest in college at Davidson on PTI. How about that for foreshadowing?
What a career. Unbelievable.
Our judgment was a little better than Kevin Durant's. Happy trails to a 3-1 ninth inning lead over the Yankees for the Houston Astros. The Yanks trailed by 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth. Aaron Hicks, Scottsdale's own, hit a 3-run homer to tie the game, and 5 batters later, Aaron Judge won it with a walk-off single to left. It was the Yankees' leading 21st comeback win and extended their home winning streak to 15. Overall, they're 51-18, Frank. And Yankees fans got even more good news this afternoon when the team avoided arbitration by reaching a settlement with Judge on a 1-year deal worth $19 million with incentives that could add some chump change up to $500,000.
It's been a magical season. They have 51 wins already, and we're not even in July. But Buster Olney reported, how about this, that he does not think that Aaron Judge is going to re-sign with the Yankees. What would the old owner of the New York Yankees, George Steinbrenner, he's going to allow
Come with more money.
someone like a big ticket item like that where people pay to see?
Frank, it's just bargaining. It's just negotiating
So
publicly.
you think he's going to be back? Because guess who the team?
Yes.
Red Sox, Mets you're hearing,
Mets.
your Cubs, and he's from Northern California, San Francisco Giants.
That makes sense. The Cubs don't spend that kind of money. They just don't do that.
Incredible.
We are running out of show. Let's go to the big finish. The European Tour bans Saudi Tour players from 3 upcoming events. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now the World Tour, just like the PGA Tour, they're now partners. This thing's becoming a mess. Kyle Schwarber tied Pete Alonso for the National League lead with 20 home runs already. You impressed?
Yeah, we get impressed in June a lot with Schwarbs. He's had some big Junes, including last year. And again now, Serena Williams will face 113th ranked Harmony Tan of France in Monday's first-round match at Wimbledon. Your thoughts?
Now, this is Serena's surface. This is where she could win, but she got a tough draw. Pliskova possibly in the third round.
Third
Coco
round,
Gauff,
maybe Golf if she's still around.
Not going to be easy.
Okay.
The Athletic and the Daily
good.
Faceoff report that the Blackhawks will name Luke Richardson as their new head coach. You excited?
I don't know about excited. He played 21 seasons, which is the stunner. 21 years, you barely know who he is for 6 teams. Hope this works out. We have been out of the playoffs, down and out, man, for 5 years now. More than that, really. 7 years. Last one, Ole Miss will face Oklahoma in the Men's College World Series. Starts tomorrow. Who you got?
Well, you know what? I want it to be Oklahoma. How about the softball team was 59-3?
Yeah.
The baseball team
win
45-22.
They win both,
That'd be
man.
pretty cool. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. I'm Frank Isola.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great weekend, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. You like people in studio? I'm just asking. Do you like it? Maybe
Thank you,
don't.
Tony.
And now,
52 wins for the Yankees.